Hi, this is Mr. Payton, and welcome back. I'm wrapping up my series called My Journey. Now, I've talked about what the game was for me as a kid, talked about it in grade school, middle school, high school. And so I want to finish it up by giving you my college experience and my pro experience or pro attempt. So here's what a lot of people don't know. Now, people in the game, they know this, but if you haven't played at a high level, you don't know how this goes. So I get to my senior year, my numbers weren't what they liked. What I liked them to be. I shot really well. I think I shot, 46, 47% from the three-point line, which was pretty high in the nation at that time. They weren't taking nearly as many threes, but, I was a great shooter, so I was going to shoot a high percentage. So I got to the end. Now, I was at a small school in Wyndham, Massachusetts called Gordon College, very small school. And so I got to the point where it was time to go and work out for pros. So first thing a lot of people don't know is that those workouts cost money. When you get invited, there are fees to pay and things like this. Now, if you're at a major university, and things may have changed now. Remember, this is back in the late 90s. But back then, you had to get somebody to pay for those fees. So if you had a good booster program, like if you had a major university, that's nothing out of your pocket. For somebody like me, had to pay for that. And so you go to this workout, and to me, it was like any other workout. I said, look here, man, I'm going to go and do my thing. I know what I can do. Like, I wasn't a leaper, so I wasn't going to do a 360 dunk or tomahawk or nothing like that. I could dunk, but that wasn't my game. I wasn't the biggest, strongest guy. I wasn't necessarily the quickest guy. I could shoot the ball, and I was fundamentally sound. So I was going to try to do what I do and hopefully get it, latch on with somebody somewhere overseas or something like that. Well, normally in a tryout, you kind of know who the best player is. A lot of times you'll know who maybe started last year, that kind of thing. When you go to a pro workout, you don't necessarily know everybody is there. Again, at the high level, like what just finished the Vegas Summer League and the NBA draft, well, you know who all those guys are because they're big-time players, and you can look up anybody now on YouTube. But back in the day, you didn't know who's in the room. So you're in there, you're doing drills, you're working out, and then you get to the full court experience, which is to me where I excelled. I knew that if you put me in a game situation, I was going to look good. I was going to defend well. I can play well without the ball. I had great court sense, and I had high basketball IQ. So I'm going through the game, and I'm balling and stuff. So every time I sat on the bench, I would kind of just glance at the crowd and see who was looking at what. And it was clear they were looking at one or two players. So, again, I did what I'd always did in that situation. I'm going to target that dude. So if this is your guy, you think he's the best player, I'm going at him. So I went at this cat. He was a 6'6" dude, big, strong guy. He was like a 2-3 combo player. I'm not sure what his nationality is. Maybe he was like an Italian cat. But, he was a really good player. I had played against him before in college, so I knew a little bit what he could do. I knew he couldn't guard me, so I was giving him buckets. Well, when time was up, literally all the scouts went to that dude and one other guy. They didn't even talk to any of us. And we all kind of looked at each other and realized, yo, that was just a showcase for those two dudes. Like, it wasn't really for everybody else to really get a shot. Now, when I've gone to other workouts and seen things, what will happen is a similar situation will occur. Best player gets all the looks, and then there'll be like some smaller teams or smaller people looking at some of the side guys who really showed out. But that didn't happen in this case. So I rode back to my dorm and kind of collecting my thoughts, and it hits you like a ton of bricks. Yo, you're not going pro. Now I know what all of you are saying. So why didn't you just go try out again? Again, you guys, I'm a broke college student. I got to pay for this stuff. So finish up school, get my degree, do whatever you're going to do. But here's where things get real. And I want you guys to understand, I am not joking when I say this. This is serious stuff. When you come home and you have to tell everybody you know that those millions of jump shots you took and all of those tournaments they took you to and all the days that were sacrificed, that it didn't end in a pro contract, they may not say anything, but you feel it. You feel embarrassed. You feel like a failure. And I got to tell you guys, I don't mean this to be sad, but I got to tell you the truth. I have buried friends who couldn't handle that pressure. They took their own lives. They killed themselves over not making it pro. Now, anybody who knows me knows some of the people I'm talking about. So I don't need to say their names because I don't think that's appropriate here. But when I say that it's hard, I'm talking about years later. They didn't do it like months after getting home. I'm talking about for some of them 10 years later, 5 years later, 20 years later, because it was their life. They put everything into it. And here's the challenge, and something I would say, fortunately, that I mastered. You have to pivot at that point. You have to switch and take all of that competitive energy and all of that desire and put it somewhere else. And so anybody who's been around me as an educator or a coach knows I'm competing all the time. I'm trying to outcoach the other coach. I think I'm better than every coach. I know I'm the best teacher on the planet. Anybody who's been in my class will tell you so. But I still have that same thing that was in me when I was on the court. If I got in front of you, you could say you were better than me. You might have a better average or whatever, but you got to see me on the court that day. And there were guys who went much further than I did. I've got several friends who made it to pros. Some of them had a chance to coach in the pros, trained players. Some of them are still coaching Division I, all that stuff. We all found other ways to be successful. But I want to make sure you guys understand there is a dark side to not making it. And a lot of people don't do well with that. They don't respond to it. And so I feel like this is a part of it. I want to make sure everybody understands. Whatever you choose to do as a young person, whether you're successful or not, you have to make a decision that that's who you are. The way you approach that goal is what you're going to take into everything. Yes, I mean, like I said, it hurt. It was embarrassing to tell everybody, no, I'm not going to make it pro. No, I didn't get a contract. People would ask me all the time, again, 5 years later, 6 years later, man, you didn't go pro? People would ask me that question. And by that time, I had been pretty practiced in how to respond to it. But at first, it was hard. And so making the decision to become an educator and a coach and a counselor worked out for me. But for a lot of you out there right now, you might be in this stage where you're like 22, 23 years old, you're out of college, and you're like, yo, what do I do? So you're probably playing in men's leagues, right? And you balling, and you can ball, you're giving people buckets, but you're not getting paid for it. You haven't established that dream. Trust me when I tell you, sooner than later, find a career. Find a way to make some money and still play the games you love. You guys, I played in leagues until my body wouldn't let me play anymore. I slipped my L5 disc. I started to have some heel issues, some foot problems, whatever. So I kept playing, but I had to kind of ratchet it down because I want to have a long career in what I'm doing now. I don't want to be the cat that can't even walk at all. I know I got friends that have had all the surgeries. They can't really enjoy life because their body is broken down. And once I made that pivot and made that adjustment, I decided I'm going to take care of my body to a certain extent. So for me, a lot of times now, it's a lot of walking. I do some jogging. I ride my bike. My point is that I took that same energy, that same determination that made me a great basketball player and turned it into something else. And so I did. I just had to man up a little bit. And I know I'm not trying to offend anybody out there and say that you're not a man or you're not tough or you're not an adult or not responsible. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you have to accept the failure so that you can move on to the next thing. I am so glad I've had the career that I've had. I don't know if it would have been different if I would have made it pro. Would I have become a teacher? I don't know. I have no idea. But I don't have time to sit around and think about that. But, for me, it's hard because I'll meet cats and they all got that story, right? Yeah, man, I was getting ready to try out for the Clippers and I blew out my knee. Okay. Yeah, I was rated one of the top players in my state, man. And then, things went crazy at D1. Coach was tripping. I didn't get my playing time. Okay. And look, for some people, that's their story and it's important to them. But for me, I don't have a story. Kids ask me, I come out and play in the NBA. I say, I wasn't good enough. I just leave it at that. And I don't care if they laugh at that or if that bothers, it doesn't bother me because I knew I was a very good player. I just didn't make it to that level. I made it to a lot of different levels. It's not that one. I didn't play in the NBA. But I want to say to all of you who are out there, if you're playing a sport, male or female, and you're giving it your all, don't let making it pro or making it to a certain level be the end of you. If it doesn't work, you gotta find another way to get into something else. You have to find a way to still be great. I believe that I am a great educator. I believe that I am a great contributor to the culture, to the community of the greater Phoenix area. And that's because I made a conscious decision to take my energy, my passion, and put it elsewhere. And I believe that others have benefited from that. So for all of you who stuck with this series called My Journey, this is the end of that journey.